Very good morning. The topic of discussion today is how to build trust in organizations. Before I begin with the lecture, I am reminded of a quotation by Emerson which says that trust people and they will be true to you, treat them as great and they will start behaving as if they are great, they will start displaying their greatness. When I say trust in an organization, it has got number of dimensions. One is the trust between the employee and the organization. Number two, trust between the employees, between one employee and the other. Number three, the trust of the customer on the company. The trust of the employee on the employing organization begins at the time of hiring. That is that it is dependent on the employee value proposition, which means that what is the company offering the employee? In today's knowledge economy, when the workers are knowledge workers, they are highly skilled, the old traditional method of hiring does not work. In the traditional advertisements, there used to be a wish list as to what would you expect from the employee or what does the company want from the employee. But today it is the employees would always ask as to what does the company offer them. So if the company is not able to fulfill the promises after having hired the employees, there is a dwindling of the trust factor. Another thing is that apart from talking about an economic contract between the employee and the organization, there is something called the psychological contract, which is a unwritten, uncommunicated kind of an obligation of the company towards the employee and vice versa. So it is a socio-emotional commitment which is there, which needs to be fulfilled, and it is a long-term commitment as well. Running a business is not only a commercial affair, it is also a personal affair. That means that the culture of the organization should be comfortable, the working environment should be autonomous, and it should also be driven by teamwork. So in order to bring in such kind of working conditions, it is important to have a liquid workplace, which means that there is a collective restoration. There is a name for this collective restoration. There is a Spanish word of the name of FICA, which says that employees need to meet in informal settings, for example a cafe or during coffee breaks, where they can discuss ideas, where there are brainstorming sessions. One mega trend that can be seen today is that of innovation, where new ideas are required. So in order to deal with this mega trend, in order to survive in the market, it is very important for the companies to look at the social sensitivity that is there in the employees. It's not just the financial capital, it is also the social capital which becomes more important, which is the networking, which is the communication between the employees. And the more the open communication, the more would be honesty and the trust that is there between the employees as well as between the employees and the employing organization. Broadly, there are three characteristics of the organizational culture and climate which foster trust and reliability. One is the absence of fear. Any people-oriented organization would be an organization where the employees do not feel threatened. The more threatening the environment, the less would be creativity and the lesser would be the competitive advantage of that organization. So fear becomes, the elimination of fear is one very important factor in fostering trust. Fear, the less the fear, the more would be the voice. That means the employees would have a voice efficacy and they would be able to voice their concerns to the management. And there would be a kind of a mutual dialogue which will help in solving the problems, which will help in implementing strategies. The third important thing is ethics. The climate has to be ethical and the employees must perceive the climate to be ethical. So the perceptions of the employees are very important. There has to be equity in the reward system. The employees should be, there should be organizational justice, and the employees should feel that the compensation that they are given, the rewards that they are given for their performance are just and they are fair. So these are the three important variables which determine the building of trust in an organization. Another major factor which is important here is the role of a leader and the role of committed leadership. Leadership is a macro variable which is influencing every other behavior in an organization. So it is very important for the leader to be trustworthy. That means he has to first of all win the trust of his subordinates in order to make them more productive, in order to help them function, or in order to facilitate their performance. So being trustworthy is something which is not very easy. Trusting others is still easy, but winning the trust of people around you and being trustworthy is something which is a difficult task. Now there are 5 general rules actually to be trustworthy. Number 1 is be reliable. That is that deliver the promises, deliver what you have said. Secondly, be congruent. That is that your words and actions need to match. Whatever you say should match with whatever you do. Third is take ownership of your mistakes despite consequences. Own that you have made a mistake, learn from them and move forward. The fourth rule is listen for understanding, which means that the leader has to be a good listener. The fifth one is solicit and share feedback, be transparent and communicate your expectations in the right manner to your employees. After having talked about the mutual trust between the employee and the organization, it is important to discuss another dimension of trust, which is the trust of the customer or the consumer on the company. Now businesses have 2 basic aims. One is profit making and second is to cater to human needs and wants. So in order to satisfy the customer and to win his loyalty, there are a number of factors to be kept in mind. Number 1 is to not only to meet customer expectations but also to exceed them. The mantra here is to under promise and to over deliver. Second is to indulge in market research very frequently and to be very, very careful of the feedback that we get from market research. Thirdly, whenever you speak of competition, you should be very, very respectful. That means whenever you try to speak about your competitors and the services that they are offering, it is important to be graceful and respectful. Another important thing is where you should not be concentrating on the customer base, that means the quantity of customers, but the quality of customers. So it is important to have a very sound customer relationship management system where you have loyal customers as opposed to the number of customers which may not be very, very loyal. So these are some of the factors that are very important. Other than this, there is the post sales behavior, that is that how do you deal with the complaints and grievances of your customers. Before ending this lecture, I am reminded of a quotation by Shannon Alder which says that the only chains that you should be wearing in life are the chains of commitment, and commitment is what trust is all about. Thank you very much for your attention.